Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Roger from Bramble Bee Farm. Just thought I'd give you a little update on what we call spring preparation for beekeeping. Now you know the springtime is here, the weather's getting beautiful, it's nice and sunny, so many people are thinking about doing beekeeping, backyard beekeeping more or less, for those who are new at it, for those first timers. Well, you need some basic equipment. First of all, we have behind me, I have basic protection, which is a bee suit. It comes with a complete overall as well as the hat and the veil. You could also get it in a jacket, which is a hat with the jacket completed as one piece, as well as you'll need gloves because some people don't really like getting stung. Even though it's part of the business, you'll get used to it. You also will need primarily a good smoker, which helps you to keep the bees calm just in case you have some very you know, irate bees. They'll be calmed down by a little smoke. Also, we have what you call a hive tool, which helps you to raise up the boxes, separate the little frames inside. That's very important for you to have because it makes it all the better when you have your tools all available. As part of a good hive, you'll need a feeder, which is this one type of a feeder. There's also other types that you place inside the box itself and it fits right in nice and comfortable and snug. But this is just as good for those who like the top feeders. We have the top part of the hive cover. This keeps the hive covered from the sun mainly and from rain getting in. Secondly, inside is the inside cover that gives venting for the hive so that it don't get too hot and overheat. This is what we call a queen excluder. This is a used equipment, so there's a lot of things on it, the propolis that they put on there. But it's called a queen excluder that keeps the queen from basically going too far up when you have your honey flow. You don't want the queen to go up and lay too much up there. So we have a queen excluder. You can get it in basically metal or plastic or however you want to do it. And typically, this smaller box is what we call the Honey Super. Notice it's not as big as the other box I'm going to point out. It's called a Honey Super, which basically they will put the honey in there when you have a honey flow. And basically, these two larger boxes, what we call the brood boxes or the brood chambers, where basically the queen bee does all her laying, and the worker bees will take care of all the needs of the hive. It's done inside the brood boxes, basically. Then underneath that, we have what we call a landing board and the bottom boards underneath that. So basically, that's all your bee equipment that you will need to do a successful season of beekeeping. Landing board. So once you have all this basic equipment, you'll be well on your way to a good season of beekeeping. And then we have our frames that the bees deposit. They lay brood, they put honey, they put propolis inside these frames. They put pollen as well inside here. Everything is done inside the hive on these frames, or you can have the bees draw out their own frames. It's a choice. Most people choose one or the other. So that's basically the first equipment that you're going to need for your basic beekeeping. And as the season progresses, you might need more, you might need less, depending on how large an investment that you want to put into beekeeping. The honey super frames are typically smaller than the brood frame, but you can use both for collecting honey. Typically, we use this in the brood chamber, and this smaller frame would be typically for the honey super. So early in the spring here in northern Minnesota, when we get our bees or our packages or our winter bees, typically what we'll have to do, we'll have to supplement our bees by feeding them sugar syrup. Basically, we just use a very thickened syrup liquid to feed our bees because we don't have our flowers flowering yet, and a lot of the trees aren't, blossoming yet. So we have to supplement. So this is the feeder that you would put on top. So you have your bees in your brood boxes, and then you would put your feeder right on top here. I mean, you'll do it for a short while until you see the blossoms start to come in and the little flowers are starting to open up. That's when you'll know it'll be time for your bees to really go out and start to forage and get as many of the different things they need to support the hive. So we have to supplement, and we put this on top. Then you would put on your cover, your inside cover. We just put it right on top, and then you cover it because you don't want the bees to get in there, to go in there to drown. They'll feed from underneath. Okay. After that's finished, and then you have a good flowering season, the trees and everything else start to flower, then you can take off the feeder, and then you would put on your queen excluder and let your bees do the work. And you definitely going to allow them some time to start to develop the hive if it's a new hive. And once she starts to lay eggs and grow the hive, then you're on your way to a good bee keeping season, and eventually you'll get honey from that production. So you put on the queen excluder, and then you can put on the inside cover. After some time, as the spring progresses, you get into early summer, then you can add the honey super, which would be typically the smaller box. Of course, you can use a larger box as well, depending on how much honey you want to gain from it. But we'll typically put this on top of the queen excluder. That way, the queen won't go up once the honey is being brought in to lay inside this area here. And then you'll just cover it and put on your top cover, and you're good. And then you'll just be managing for the rest of the season, checking your bees ever so often to see how things are going, and you'll see what the progress is being made. And at the end of the season, you'll see how much honey you'll gain from the management that you did with your bees. It's not very difficult, but it does take some time. It does take some involvement, but it's fun. And getting stung once in a while is not as bad as it seems. Well, thanks, guys. This is just a little update on what the early beekeepers will be doing this time of the season to get themselves ready for beekeeping. Thank you for following us on bramblebreadandhoney.com. You can just check out our website. We have, honey. We also do a great line of bread where we use fresh wild honey inside the breads and different products that we do carry. So just go and check us out, and we appreciate you taking the time to check us out.